Most people ruin their lives not because they are inherently weak, but because they never learned how to control their minds. 2,000 years ago, ancient Stoic philosophers discovered a few simple rules that could make a person calm, powerful, and unbreakable. In this video, you will learn 7 Stoic rules that can completely change the way you think, react, and live today. The strange thing about these ancient philosophical principles is that they are incredibly simple to understand, yet surprisingly difficult to master. Because they demand discipline, most people simply ignore them, choosing the easy path instead of doing the necessary internal mental work. And that is exactly why so many individuals remain constantly stressed, deeply angry, and completely controlled by the actions of others. Even the great Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius practiced these exact principles every single day to maintain his sanity and inner peace. These powerful concepts helped him successfully rule a massive empire while keeping his mind remarkably calm amidst constant chaos and betrayal. Let us begin our journey with the first essential rule of Stoicism, a principle that forms the foundation of true freedom. The brilliant philosopher Epictetus taught us that the first Stoic rule is incredibly simple: control what you can, ignore the rest. Unfortunately, most people spend all their precious energy constantly worrying about external situations and events they absolutely have no control over. They obsess over the loud opinions of others, regret the unchangeable past, and fear an unpredictable future that has not arrived yet. The wise Stoics understood something truly powerful. Immense psychological suffering always begins when we try to control the completely uncontrollable events. Once you accept that you can only control your own thoughts and actions, a profound sense of inner peace quickly follows. This brings us to the second vital rule, articulated by Seneca: you must always expect hardship and embrace the difficulties of life. Many modern people falsely believe that life should always be easy, comfortable, and completely free from any form of physical struggle. But the ancient Stoics believed the exact opposite, knowing that a life without challenges ultimately creates weak and incredibly fragile individuals. Seneca famously stated that constant difficulties and painful struggles actually strengthen the human mind, just as heavy labor strengthens the body. When you actively expect hardship instead of running from it, you completely stop feeling like a helpless victim of cruel fate. You begin to see every single obstacle as a valuable opportunity to practice patience, build resilience, and develop your personal character. The third Stoic rule reminds us of a fundamental truth: your own mind is your greatest source of ultimate personal power. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, you cannot control outside events, but you can always control how you choose to interpret them. Imagine 2 different people who suddenly lose their jobs on the exact same day under the exact same unfortunate economic circumstances. The first person falls into deep despair, angrily declaring that their entire life is completely over and everything is permanently ruined. The second person calmly accepts the situation, confidently stating that this sudden change represents a fantastic new beginning for their career. It is the exact same event, but a completely different mindset determines whether it becomes a devastating tragedy or a triumph. This leads us directly to the fourth rule: you must absolutely never chase the fleeting approval or validation of other people. One of the greatest and most dangerous traps in human life is the constant, desperate need for external validation and praise. Countless people waste their entire lives frantically trying to impress individuals who do not even care about their true personal well-being. But the Stoics firmly believed that the collective opinion of the crowd is inherently unstable, completely irrational, and ultimately entirely meaningless. When you finally stop needing the approval of society, you instantly become truly free to live according to your own values. Your self-worth should only come from your own virtuous actions, not from the unpredictable applause or harsh criticism of random strangers. The fifth essential rule is something we all struggle with daily: You must learn to completely master your own volatile emotions. Unchecked anger is undoubtedly one of the fastest and most destructive ways to lose control over your own life and reputation. The Stoics rigorously trained themselves to take a deep, deliberate pause before reacting to any kind of insult or sudden provocation. They understood that feeling a sudden negative emotion is perfectly natural, but choosing to react blindly is always a terrible mistake. By creating a small space between the triggering event and your response, you regain total control over your own behavioral choices. Remember that nobody can make you feel angry or insulted without your own explicit permission and willing participation in the conflict. The sixth rule introduces a very famous and powerful ancient Latin concept, memento mori, which simply means, remember you will die. In ancient Rome, victorious generals were constantly reminded by a servant whispering in their ear that they were only mortal beings. The true purpose of this dark reminder was never to create paralyzing fear or depressing thoughts about the end of life. Instead, it was designed to create ultimate mental clarity, keeping their massive egos completely in check despite their incredible worldly successes. When you constantly remember that your life is incredibly short, you immediately stop wasting your precious time on utterly meaningless arguments.
You begin to appreciate every single breathing moment, focusing only on what truly matters to your soul and your personal legacy. Death is the ultimate equalizer, and keeping it in mind helps you live a life full of urgent purpose and profound meaning. Finally, we arrive at the seventh and perhaps most practical Stoic rule. You must focus entirely on maintaining strict daily discipline. Your entire life is fundamentally shaped not by grand occasional gestures, but by the small, seemingly insignificant things you do daily. The Stoics held a deep belief that practicing small, positive daily habits eventually builds an incredibly powerful and unbreakable moral character. Waking up early, controlling your diet, reading philosophical texts, and treating others fairly are the daily building blocks of true greatness. It is a profound paradox of human existence that imposing strict discipline upon yourself is the only way to create freedom. Without strict discipline, you are simply a helpless slave to your own passing moods, physical desires, and immediate emotional reactions to events. When you master your daily routines and consistently do what is right, you become an unstoppable force in your own life. These 7 ancient rules might seem simple on the surface, but integrating them into your modern life requires immense daily effort. The wise Stoic philosophers deeply understood something crucial that most modern people will unfortunately never realize during their entire fleeting lifetimes. Human life will always be wildly unpredictable, completely unfair, and filled with sudden, unexpected challenges that test our resolve and patience. People you trust will inevitably disappoint you, tragic accidents will happen, and your most comfortable circumstances will eventually change without warning. You cannot build a protective wall around yourself to keep out the pain, suffering, and inevitable tragedies of the human experience. But if you can successfully master the inner workings of your own mind, nothing in the external world can truly harm you. You become like a solid rock standing firm in the middle of a violently crashing ocean, completely unmoved by the waves. The storms of life may rage fiercely all around you, but deep inside your mind, you maintain a perfectly calm stillness. This is the ultimate promise of Stoic philosophy. Not a life free from pain, but a mind immune to unnecessary suffering. As the great emperor Marcus Aurelius beautifully wrote in his private journal, you have absolute power over your own conscious mind. You do not have power over outside events, but realizing this fundamental truth gives you incredible strength to face any adversity. The exact moment you truly understand and internalize this profound concept, your entire life instantly begins to change for the better. You stop aggressively blaming other people for your own unhappiness, and you finally take full responsibility for your own emotional state. You transform from a passive victim of random circumstances into the active, powerful architect of your own glorious destiny and character. This transformation does not happen overnight. It requires constant, dedicated practice, unyielding patience, and a deep commitment to your personal growth. Every single morning brings a brand new opportunity to practice these 7 Stoic rules and forge a stronger, more resilient mindset. When you face a difficult coworker, a sudden financial loss, or a broken relationship, remember the ancient wisdom of the Stoics. Pause, take a deep breath, detach from your initial emotional reaction, and ask yourself what is actually within your direct control. By consistently applying these timeless principles, you will slowly build an inner fortress that absolutely nothing in this world can destroy. You will walk through life with a quiet confidence, knowing that whatever happens, you have the internal tools to handle it. True power is not about controlling the entire world around you. It is about completely mastering the universe inside your head. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey through the profound and truly transformative philosophy of the great ancient Stoic masters. Keep practicing these timeless principles, stay strong, and always remember to seek the profound truths shared here on the Ancient Wisdom Channel.